Luffy versus Kaido has at the very least reached its final stages, and although we have to wait until after this break week to find out what exactly happened, today I want to look slightly ahead. So in this video, we're going to be discussing how exactly Wano is going to end and the possibilities of what comes after. How are the Big Bomb Pirates and the world government going to get involved? What arc is coming next? Is it Elbaf? That's what we're going to be discussing in this video, but as always, make sure you subscribe and join our King Pirates crew because we do this every week. And also thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. Alright, but to start things off, let's talk about how exactly Wano is going to end. I'm just going to start off by saying that we're definitely not going to predict how exactly it's going to happen. The arc is now officially 140 chapters long, and there's like 95 things going on at all times. So there's so many different variables that we're just not going to be able to predict it all. I'm going to do my best in trying to address all of the different possibilities. And the first elephant in the room we have to talk about is Luffy versus Kaido and what happened last chapter. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this because we'll likely find out an answer within the next couple of weeks. And whatever speculation I come up with is probably going to be wrong anyways, and this video is just going to be pointless. So I'm not going to speculate whether or not Kaido has been defeated and all that. Instead, I think the one thing we can probably almost all agree on is that eventually Luffy will defeat Kaido. Like, even in the scenario that we get an insanely long Wano arc and the raid ends up failing, I still don't think there's a chance that Wano ends like Sabaody did and the Straw Hats just all lose and get decimated. Like, when Sabaody first happened, that was an insane shock to the audience and was a drastic shift in the story. And of course, it led to one of the biggest events in the story in Marineford. Wano, on the other hand, has been that big event that we've been building up to for pretty much the new world. So this late in the story, I just don't think Wano's gonna end that drastically with the entire raid failing and the arc ending with the Straw Hats losing. That was way too many words for the point I was trying to get across. But yeah, the point is, I think eventually Kaido will get defeated in this arc, and as far as whether or not he's gonna die, I actually think it's more likely that he doesn't get killed. I know there's still some ZKK boys still holding on strong, and listen, don't get mad at me, I'm not bashing the theory. As a matter of fact, when I first heard the theory presented by reasonable people, I thought, okay, this is a possibility. But as of right now, Zoro's literally seen the Grim Reaper and he's damn near dead. So I think it's pretty much impossible for him to kill Kaido at this point. If I turn out to be wrong, you guys can spam L in my comments. But yeah, if Zoro doesn't end up killing Kaido, I don't think Luffy does either. That's just not something he does. There's a slight possibility that a third party might do something like that, like Eustace Kid. But honestly, I think a likely scenario is that Kaido just gets put out of commission somehow. And one way that could happen is the world government getting involved and maybe capturing him for the final time. So with that said, the next thing I want to talk about is the world government's involvement in Wano. But before we get to that, I want to let you guys know about Surfshark VPN, because the world government is the one thing you don't want tracking you in One Piece, and Surfshark can actually help you with that in real life. With Surfshark VPN, you can browse the internet safely by encrypting the information between your device and the internet. Essentially, Surfshark changes your IP address with a new one which replaces your location, and the best part is you can choose wherever you want to go. This comes in very handy when you're streaming shows, movies, or anime. Like, by switching your location to a US location with Surfshark, you can get access to Crunchyroll's largest anime library. You can do the same with other streaming apps such as Netflix to get access to all the exclusives you're looking for. And on top of that, Surfshark has 3,200 plus servers in 65 countries, so there's plenty of choices to choose from. Surfshark also has you covered across multiple devices, as you can use it as a desktop app, mobile app, or even a browser extension. But the best part is Surfshark is currently giving away 83% off plus 3 free months if you use my promo code I'mDKing. And there's even a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out. So please help support the channel by downloading Surfshark with the link in the description, and be sure to use my promo code I'mDKing to get that amazing deal. And now back to the video. So next up, let's address the world government, who's definitely gonna play a major role in how Wano ends, especially after what we saw last chapter with the last CP0 member flying off likely to the world government ships. I'm expecting him to give a report on what's going on, and that report is gonna determine on what the world government does next. Now, initially, the world government's plan, if Kaido was defeated, was to annex Wano and take it over. So because of that, I'm seeing that some people think that's what's gonna happen now that Kaido is seemingly defeated, or eventually that he's going to be. But at the same time, I think the circumstances have changed and their actions have changed because of Luffy's Devil Fruit. And ultimately, the CP0 failed their mission of taking out Luffy, and their worst nightmare came true in Luffy awakening. So at this point, I think even if the world government ends up taking action, I don't think they're gonna be focused on annexing Wano, and instead it's gonna be focused on taking out Luffy. And that's what I think is most likely gonna happen. They're just gonna focus all their attention on taking out Luffy. But of course, that's gonna be easier said than done. The samurai are not gonna go down easy. I think some of the Straw Hats have a lot of gas left, like Jinbei and Brook. Also, there's a giant ass elephant that could have something to say about a possible invasion. So as far as the world government fleet that is there already, I honestly don't think they're gonna make much of a difference. I could be wrong on this, but I honestly don't think anyone notable is on any of those world government ships. So just taking things at face value, I think the fleet that is there is not going to pose much of an issue, especially with Zunisha right there. That being said though, one of the theories that I've talked about a lot on this channel and one that I still believe in is Vegapunk coming to Wano. I've done multiple videos on my thoughts on this and why I think it's going to happen, but you could check out the latest right here. But overall with this theory, it just feels like the right timing to me. It would be a great way to cap off this major Wano arc. There's been many connections back to Vegapunk as well with the Ancient Giant experiments, Kaido and King's experiments. So I still believe that Vegapunk is going to arrive in Wano, and honestly, I think he's going to be a major focal point in the final part of Wano. And how Wano is going to end and what it leads to next really comes down to one question for me, which is Vegapunk evil or good? Personally, I've always stuck by the belief that he is a good person because everything we've seen in the story and heard about Vegapunk hints that he is a good guy. So my theory on this has always been that he shows up in Wano, maybe with the SSG, but definitely Tashigi. Things seem like an issue at first because the world government is here after this crazy war with the Beast Pirates, but it ends up being resolved relatively quickly because Vegapunk's not a bad person, and in the end, he actually might end up helping them some ways with maybe the Smile Devil Fruit Cure and some of the Straw Hats as well. So the Straw Hats conflict with the world government doesn't really go anywhere in Wano and instead is pushed back into this final Grand War. So overall, that's always been my belief on this theory, and I probably still lean towards it, especially because at this point, I just really don't see another major conflict happening after Luffy versus Kaido. Like with the way Wano has been going, even though I feel like this finale has been a little anticlimactic because of the pacing and tone issues, it still has that same feel and has gone the same direction as a classic kingdom saving arc within One Piece. And every time with one of these kingdom saving arcs, it always ends with Luffy defeating the big bad. There's some marine conflict at the end, but it doesn't really pose an issue. And the Straw Hats in the kingdom get to celebrate, have their party before the Straw Hats have to rush out of there into the next island. So until I see otherwise, I'm just gonna guess that's the same way this arc is gonna go. But I will say I'm not gonna shut down the idea that Vegapunk is a bad person, because just like the idea of the raid failing, I think it's entirely possible that Wano is not the same standard kingdom saving arc that we've seen before and it goes a different direction. And one big reason I believe that is not only because Wano is such a long and special arc, but we are also nearing the end of the story. And within the past couple of years, Oda has continued to say that it's gonna end within 5-6 years and there's still a lot of things left to address. So maybe instead of things dragging out across multiple arcs, things just kind of escalate here in this conflict against the world government. So for example, if Vegapunk is not a good person, which there are some ways you could kind of perceive that because in the end he did experiment on Kaido and King. So if Oda wanted to make him evil, he definitely could. And if an evil Vegapunk is pulling up with the SSG, Wano and the Straw Hats are gonna be in trouble, which could potentially lead to Luffy and / or Robin getting captured and us getting a world government arc. And although I've consistently said I don't like the ideas of Luffy or Robin getting captured because it would be kind of repetitive, I can't flat out say it's impossible that it goes in that direction, especially because in the aftermath of the Reverie, the Straw Hats might have some incentive to go to Marijua anyway because of Sabo or Vivi. So although I do wish that we get a happy ending in Wano and the world government conflict gets pushed back, I can't shut down the idea that things escalate faster than we expect. That being said though, we do have to address another party that is currently in Wano, and that's the Big Mom Pirates. And from this point on, because of the world government speculation, we really have to look at things in two different perspectives. One is that things escalate a lot quicker and the world government conflict happens first, and the second one is the one that I think is more likely, which is that the world government conflict gets pushed back. So for the Big Mom Pirates, if the world government conflict happens first, I actually think that might be the end of the Big Mom Pirates in the story. Like, I understand Big Mom has connections to Elbaf, and I actually believe that she will get involved with Elbaf if the world government conflict gets pushed back. But if all of a sudden the Straw Hats are going to war with the world government, the Big Mom Pirates don't really have any incentive to get involved. Honestly, the only connection I see left for them to get involved is Elbaf. But if Elbaf is happening like 2-3 arcs later, I feel like at that point the Big Mom Pirates almost feels a little irrelevant. So in this first scenario, maybe the Big Mom Pirates just give up and they just go back to Whole Cake Island because something is happening there right now. At the same time though, in what I think is the more likely scenario where Wano ends happily, I still don't think the Big Mom Pirates are gonna play a major role in the end of Wano, but I do think they're gonna have a role in the future of the story. Because at this point, although they are in Wano, they're kind of out of the picture. Big Mom got sunk to the bottom of Wano, and so are the rest of the Big Mom Pirates. The only person that's still in Onigashima is Pearl Sparrow, and he got bodied. So by the time they all group up again and Big Mom gets back on her feet, I feel like Wano is more or less recovered and the world government's gonna be involved. So I think at that point, the Big Mom Pirates will probably just give up and lay low. But at the same time, I don't see him just completely giving up on the Straw Hats unless Big Mom like permanently turns into Olin and Katakuri takes over the the crew. Because if they stop pursuing the Straw Hats and just give up, then Big Mom pretty much just came to Wano as a wrecking ball and just caused a bunch of chaos and then just kind of gave up and served no future purpose. So although I think the Big Mom Pirates are not going to play much more of a role in Wano, I do think they end up pursuing the Straw Hats to their next destination. Which gets us to the next major plot points we have to discuss, which is Elbaf, Shanks, and BlackBeard. Now with these topics, I've also done a wide variety of videos on and different theories, but I talk about them so much because they're three of the biggest plot points that still have to be addressed, and it does feel like the right time for some of them, if not all of them, to get their spotlight after Wano. After the defeat of Kaido, I think Luffy is clearly going to be ready to meet Shanks as a great pirate. So out of all three of these plot points, I think Shanks is the most likely option to get addressed after Wano. Now how exactly are the Straw Hats going to get there? That's a little unclear, but I think there are some different paths. Now if the world government conflict happens first, I can see Shanks and BlackBeard getting involved in that final war, because I think any major conflict against the world government is just going to escalate to a crazy scale with a lot of big name players. So I think if Luffy or Robin gets captured and the Straw Hats are going after the world government, Shanks will get involved and that's how they reunite. On the other hand though, if Wano ends peacefully, I still think there's many ways the Straw Hats are led to Shanks, and really there's one specific person that I'm thinking about that could lead them there along with some other little options. But the person I'm thinking about is Marco the Phoenix, because I think a character of his caliber, he just has not played a big enough role in this arc so far. Like don't get me wrong, he's done some cool things as a support character, but for him to just do that and then leave to Sphinx Island right afterwards, it would feel kind of weird. Unless we end up getting a mini Sphinx Island arc where Luffy goes there to visit Ace's grave, and then from that arc we move into Elbaf and Shanks' arc. That could be an option. But yeah, as far as Marco goes, I really expect him to play a bigger role, and I don't think Oda brought him to Wano just to have him be a support character and throw Zoro up into the roof. I think Oda has him here for a bigger reason than that, especially with him being pretty much the right hand of the Whitebeard Pirates and knowing a lot of information because of that. So my speculation right now is that Marco could be the person that guides the Straw Hats to their next destination, whether that's Shanks or Elbaf or both of them. He could potentially just straight up talk about Shanks and say that Elbaf is Shanks' territory and the Straw Hats go there because of that. Or maybe he has some information about the Fourth Road Poneglyph because that's still missing. And the last time we saw that Poneglyph was in Fishman Island, and before Whitebeard passed away, that was his territory. So Marco could have some information on that, and that could lead to Elbaf or Shanks, or maybe just another island in general. Either way, if I had to guess right now, I really think Marco's gonna be a strong influence on where the Straw Hats go next. That being said though, there are other options, like Yamato for example. She probably knows a lot of information from Odin's journal, so maybe she knows some information about Elbaf or Shanks or the Poneglyph, so instead maybe she's the one to guide them to the next destination and hopefully as their crewmates. Or maybe it doesn't even have to be a person and Robin ends up finding out some information from the Poneglyphs. Through one of these options, I think it's gonna lead us to the next major arc, and if I had to bet on what that arc is gonna be, I would probably say Elbaf, because if the world government stuff gets pushed back, there's really not many islands left that I feel like the Straw Hats have to go. So I think the Straw Hats are either just gonna go straight to Elbaf, or we get this like mini Sphinx Island arc and then go to Elbaf. Now as far as what's gonna happen in Elbaf, I've talked about that many times in several videos as well. How's Luffy and Shanks going to reunite? What's Usopp's character development gonna be in that arc? There's a lot of exciting storylines about Elbaf, which is why I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm not gonna talk about it too much in this video because I've talked about it in previous videos, but the most likely things I see happening in Elbaf is that Shanks is probably involved, Usopp is definitely gonna get a lot of character development, and Loki is probably gonna be a villain. BlackBeard on the other hand has potential to show up in Elbaf as well and turn it into this crazy war where maybe Ragnarok happens. I also think it's entirely possible that he doesn't get involved there and he just gets an arc to himself. We know that currently he's on the move to do something, and maybe that involves Shanks and Elbaf in a conflict there, but he could also just be gathering up more strength somewhere else to set us up for this final showdown between Luffy and BlackBeard. And if that final clash does not happen in Elbaf, I think it happens before the Straw Hats reach Laugh Tale. I know there's been a lot of theories that BlackBeard maybe becomes the Pirate King before Luffy. Personally, I don't love the idea. First off, BlackBeard doesn't have any road poneglyphs, so like he doesn't really know how to get there. But more importantly, I really feel like reaching Laugh Tale and becoming Pirate King is something that only Roger and Luffy should be able to do in the story. So I don't see BlackBeard getting to Laugh Tale before Luffy and then them fighting there. I guess it is possible that their fight still happens on Laugh Tale, maybe just with Luffy getting there first and then BlackBeard showing up afterwards. If it ends up happening before Laugh Tale, one of the last islands I think the Straw Hats have to go to is Lodestar. If you don't remember, Lodestar is the last island on the log post and only the Roger pirates reach there as well. As far as BlackBeard getting involved in the final war, it's definitely possible, but I think it's less likely because that would just give Oda so many different things to juggle. But at the same time, who knows, because Oda has definitely surprised me before with how many different things he likes to incorporate at once. So overall, those are my thoughts on how Wano is going to end and what's going to come next. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments, and once again, thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Be sure to download it with the link in the description and use my promo code I'mTheKing. And in my hand, I have a One Piece volume between 45 and 50. If you guess it wrong, you have to like, subscribe, and watch the next video. And the answer is 48.